you're reasonably busy yourself. But have you got enough time to keep an eye on at some level what's going on with Alastair Clarkson?
A little bit, yeah. I've got a vested interest, if you like, because I worked with Clarko last year. He's an amazing coach. So I think I've said this before. I was when I first met Clarko, I wasn't really sure what to expect because I hadn't bumped into him all my time in footy, and then I got the luxury to work with him, and I thought, he's serious, he's angry, all the things that this is going to be interesting. But he was part of all of that. But one thing that I really stood out was his care factor. It was unbelievable. The ability that he would just go to external lengths to do for his players, for his staff, and the phone calls he would make to players and stuff. I learned a lot off, and quite often if there's something goes wrong or in my day-to-day, I think, what would Clarko do? I've had the experience of working with Clarko. I learned that. Yeah.
And what about the other side of it, the brutal reality of what Ben Rutten's going through?
Yeah.
And is there a fraternity there? Do you reach out to him? Do you just, what can you do? Or just observe it?
I was in Sydney and came back Monday morning and turned my phone on after getting off the plane and then see this headline, Rutten sacked. Wow, this instant, really? What's going on? And have I missed something? But then we didn't get to see them play on the weekend because we were playing at the same time, I think. Also, I wasn't privy to what that game looked like. But you can't help but think what's real and what's fake. I still don't know if we do know what is actually going on.
No.
But I think sitting in a similar chair, not going through what he's doing, but sitting in the chair, knowing that reality of this job is it's like milk; it expires. It does.
That's true. Yeah,
and sometimes it's in your control, and sometimes out. So we all know doing the job that at some stage that's going to be you, and you just got to embrace and accept that.
So there's been a bit of vision rolling around from a game a couple of weeks ago. I won't get you to comment on the Nick Hind, Ben Rutten, but Hind, I don't know whether you've seen it. Hind goes to the bench and Rutten's sitting alongside him, and he tries to get a bit of, hey, listen, I've got a few things, and Hind just is looking the other way. There's no connection at all. So, and it's been discussed a bit, and it's been used in the context of the coach, has kind of lost the player a bit. Now that's been scotched by the player, but in a moment like that, when a player comes off the ground, I don't know whether you've had a moment like this yet, but you're down on the boundary. When you want to make a point, do you need laser focus? Do you demand, hey, look at me right now?
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a couple of those moments. I coached in the box the first month, and then went to the bench for the first time, and I'm just anticipating a guy comes off. Hey, we're going to do this. Look at, and he's not looking at me. Going, hey, hang on a minute. And I'm an old school teacher, so hey, my eyes are here.
Yeah.
Hey, right here, right now.
Yep.
But what I did learn is some guys, Jackie Lauder does an amazing job with these guys. Day to day and week to week, and so I got post game and said, what's the go with this young lad here? And he just needs 5 minutes, or you'll know that and then I went through the bit of the lay of the land with some of the guys.
Yeah.
So some guys in particular like a little walk and a bit of space before I've learnt that over my 15, 16 games now on the bench. Who can I go straight away?
Yep.
Just give them 30 seconds, get your breath back. And I even sometimes say to them, hey, take a breath. When you're ready, I need you here.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of that.
Yeah. What can you just give us a sense for why the bench, for the time being, it might not be forever, but why the bench feels more right for you, for the majority of the season as opposed to where you were at the start of the year?
Yeah, I think it's something that I got accustomed to doing the VFL for 5 years. I coached from the bench, and I got this. Maybe it was my development hat on, and I've got this hands on. Hey, look at this. Can you see that bit of play there? We need to improve that. Right now, can you just go out and fix that for us? That real instant gratification, if you like, that you say something you can actually execute from the box, particularly in the first month. There is a disconnect. I remember we playing a game, it might have been against West Coast, funnily enough, when we lost, and we're trying to execute something, and just couldn't get it done. It took us 3 or 4 minutes, but that stuff I tend to find on the bench, you can action a lot quicker. Straight to the runner or straight to a player or a leader on the bench. Make sure we do this better, and it's somewhat of my own personal style. It suits, but also I think getting stuff done it assists that too.
Just one more on that. Can you access vision? Can you get vision roll back? Hey, listen, get that queued up for me. I want to show him this.
Constantly.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. And I just get the numbers. I've got a guy on the headphones constantly give me numbers. Shout out to Anthony Stortis, does an amazing job for us.
Yep.
Power of work. And so he's constantly feeding me the numbers. And if I want to speak to a coach, they've got an open line to me. I speak to them. So there's constant communication. If I miss something, hey, what happened there? Can you just let me know what was going on with that? So yeah, it's.
And how immediate is the feedback that you can provide to the players? Because we see the coding during the game, and you see the dozens of laptops. Do you show players something that historically you'd normally do in the next day in a review?
Yep.
Can you show them right at that time?
Yeah, at half time I would often show 2 or 3 clips. Yeah, every game we've done it.
Yep.
I remember the Melbourne game in particular. We felt like we just couldn't win a contest down the line. Like it was a part of how we were doing that. We were kicking it, but also then the other options that are available to us. In that game, we started to switch the ball a little bit more and then open the game up for us. But that was players, look at this. Hey, see this. We can execute this better. And so every week there's something like that. Doesn't always equate to action. Like I think on the weekend, showed some vision at half time. I wish on post game, I looked back at the game again. I thought, I needed to show that, and I apologised to the group. I needed to see this in time, and I missed it. I made a mistake on that.
And were you across the Zane Cordy incident with the blocking that the Shepherd, whatever terminology you want to use, and seemed like to us fundamentally sound, but it wasn't. It actually had to go through a process because of the outcome of the player. Do you have a view that it seems that there may be the league is so cautious about that, and understandably so, because the player welfare is always at the forefront. But do you think we'll ever get to the stage where, as it is with those types of incidents, where they say, well, if you hit the head, bad luck, if there's an outcome that someone's concussed, then there's got to be a penalty. Do you think it'll ever get to the stage where, even if you're doing something fundamentally sound and you don't hit the head, but there is an outcome, that there may be consequences?
Yeah, potentially I do. Look, I remember...
Well, that's sad, isn't it?
Oh, well, I remember at the start of the year, I spoke to Brad Scott about this and Andrew Dillon. We were talking about the change of Brandon Mono, for example, early days, he got reported first, the strike, and then he hit the ground and he missed 2 weeks, I think it was, way back before round 1. And it was really clear to me that, like, if you hit the head, you're in trouble. That was the way I understood it.
Yep.
Maybe through the transition of the year, there's been the rules that are stated out in the law book aren't allowing the AFL the
flexibility
or liberty to make that as tight as they want it to be.
Yeah.
So maybe there is potentially the rule changing to head towards more what you're saying, protect the head no matter what. I think that's why the AFL want to go. But there's been some grain at the last month, hasn't there?
Also, was the Maynard one and the Cripps one are more comparable, I reckon, if you like, than maybe the Cordy and the Maynard. The arm out and the inadvertent high contact, but the player gets concussed as a result of it. I mean, I'm not asking to get it, but were you surprised by did the Cripps outcome in the end? It was a sort of a matter of interpretation or some sort of matter of football law, really, more than anything at the end of the day once it got to the appeals tribunal. But at the end of the day, were you kind of surprised that he got off?
Oh, well, I was certainly hoping he didn't.
Of course.
I was looking, I'm going, 2 games, I'm doing the maths. Right. Yeah, that would really suit us.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's grey in it now. Like, we're all not sure. Like, hence why, I don't know why that, if they sent the last thing to the tribunal based on the Cordy one based on, I'm not sure now. There's grey in it. And I think we're not better for that. I think we need to have less grey in the game.
So just on the grey in footy, is that wishful thinking? Like, there's so much interpretation in this game and everything, you can see one thing and you can say it's black and I'll say it's white. It's just footy the way footy's been forever. How pure do we need it to be? Or the game will continue to operate with a bit of that somewhere, won't it?
I must admit, the concussion stuff really worries me. I've had probably 8 in my career. I've played for a while, but in my life, and I do get worried about it. I do. I see all these other things happening, and I get concerned about that. And I think if we can eradicate some form of the concussions through whether it's provisions or changes in rules, interpretation, I think we'd be better for it.
Right.
I think less head knocks in the game, I think we'll be better for it. How we get there, I don't know.
That's the challenge.
Yeah, that's the challenge. But It is a concern, and you see the Jay Schultz story and other stories come up. I can't help but in my own story and journey think, oh God, I wonder if we can sort of try to get less of this in their game.
So have you gone and, I mean, a lot of blokes who have played suburban footy have forgotten things and their memory's no good, and they've probably gone and had MRIs to just get checked out as this story's become more, there's more light being shed on this matter. Have you sought to get checks yourself? Have you done any of that?
No, I haven't. But
do you think you'll get around to it?
Maybe, but again, I'll be lying if I don't. Every time a story comes up, I don't reflect on, okay, what does that mean to me? The unknown factor of what that could be. So, it's not a great place to live in when the past is done, but hopefully we can make change for the future. Like we can protect the players a little bit more again.
So to both of you two blokes who have played sport at the elite level, if footy can't get this. If footy can't make itself safe, this is real big picture stuff. But if it can't make itself safer, there's no threat to the game long term, is there? We don't need to, like in terms of players wanting to play and accessing young athletes coming into the game, we're not facing a situation in 20 or 30 or 40 years' time where this matter, we know more about it and it's more alarming, and as a result of that, we're finding players turning their back on Aussie rules in an alarming. No, we're not facing that.
I don't think so. I'd be surprised if that's the case. The kids love playing the game, and now the expansion of the women and the girls playing the game, I think there's you only have to turn up Sunday to realise that footy's back, isn't it? Like everyone loves footy.
Of course.
I'm not sure if that's an extreme look at it, but.
What about you? Do you get from a basketball perspective, do you find...
Well, we don't have the same... Obviously, it's
but do you find people playing basketball because it's deemed by parents to be a slightly safer game?
I think that there is an element to that. How big an element it is, but when you've got your own kids and you hear bits and pieces about the consequences of head injuries and you see some of the actions, I can understand why the AFL is really, really concerned. And we all are concerned, as Craig has indicated. It's absolutely. But the game's always going to be there, but whether or not further changes has to be made in order to mitigate the potential outcomes, that's a big question, and I'm with Craig. I don't, because you almost have to sign off on the fact that it's a collision sport. That is the reality.
Yeah, but you look at already the NRL, the changes in the last 5 years, our game, the changes in the last 5 years,
that's right.
Even more. We've made significant change already. You'd be naive to think the next 10 years isn't going to be change even more.
Yeah.
I think it's heading more towards less head-high contact than more.
So we've got to get to a break. But just on the Cordy one after it goes out, were you happy that he, not happy that Tanner Bruin got injured, but were you happy that Zane Cordy got off or not?
Oh, somewhat, yeah. Like, the incidental contact of the game is what it is, I would have thought.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Just behind you at the moment, we're watching some vision from training today. How are Ginnivan and De Goey? They're probably the two major concerns for you. Is there anything you can tell us, or is it a bit too early yet?
No, we'll know both the guys. They got through training today. They did what they had to do. Reality is we'll just have to wait till they get through training Friday.
Yeah, okay.
So there was an element of like, if they don't get through training today, they're not playing. We won't pick them. But they did that, so that's one thing or hurdle they had to get over, and then we get to Friday and see where we're at.
Do you have to address the booing situation when you got the young fella on the sideline there? He's copped a bit of an injury, he's subbed out. Does it affect him? I know he's made comments like he did, but
yeah. I got asked after the game, and to be honest, I'm finding this as the coach. Do you have to have an opinion? Like I was sitting there going, how do I answer? I actually literally don't have an opinion, and I thought to myself, how do I answer this? And I bumbled around it, but upon reflection, my little girl Charlie, we take her to most games,
right?
And she's a mad barracker. Now I don't sit with her match day clearly, but she's learned to barrack poorly, and she needs some education around how to cheer. She's cheering for the wrong things, and I took her to a VFL game once.
Sounds like she's become a Collingwood supporter.
I literally took her to a VFL game to teach her how to barrack. But I remember we were sitting at home watching a game and she booed. And I said, "Oh, Charlie, no." we're not booers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, darling. We don't
Yeah.
boo.
Yeah.
We cheer for things.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can't control what others do, but in my life, in
Yeah.
my family, we're not booers.
Good.
Yeah.
And we educate from. She's a 6-year-old, so that's the way I call it.
Yeah.
One of the things you've told us on a few occasions this year, and we continue to love having you in, is that come down to our joint on a Monday and you won't know whether we've won or lost on the weekend. Now, the streak gets broken on the weekend by Sydney. What did Monday, or whatever day it was when you get Tuesday, whatever day it was, what did that day look like for you?
Yeah, no, it was busy. It was. I'm pretty level in my personality. I like to be up most of the time, but it was busy. We educated and we showed some clear reasons why we didn't get the job done, and then a clear focus of how we're going to improve that and how we're going to train it.
Yep.
Players walked away with a clear focus of, all right, we can fix that.
Yep.
And I like to show. I like to show us when we do things well. So when we didn't, I didn't show less of when we didn't do it. I showed us when we did it in the past doing it well. So they see this visual of us, what's required to do it. There's a level of we can't control the past. All we can control is what's in front of us. But I like to lean towards a positive look of what it actually has to look like. So
Would that have worked well for you? Is that what you would have liked to have or did have as a player? Is that where you go back to or not? Is it what you just think?
No, I think that the modern group, and I look at our group, I realised really quickly they responded. Like a couple of early training sessions, I raised my voice and started barking, and then the next 5 minutes was horrible, and I go, well, that didn't work. And then all of a sudden you see something, water what you want to grow if you like, and I like to, if you do something well, I will tell you you've done it well, and really say, hey, Andy, you're doing a great job, mate. And not make it manufactured, be really genuine and authentic with it. But it's the same when we do something positive in a game. I'll show them, hey boys, this is what it needs to look like. This is us at our best. This is what individually. This is what it needs to look like. So the constant positive reinforcement, it has worked well with this group.
Yeah, I can imagine that working. We've been talking a lot about Brodie Grundy here without you. I think we might have spoken a bit about Brodie Grundy to you. Do you have, and again, if you don't have an opinion, we're not going to force one out of you. So in answer to the press conference, but how do you feel about a rival club meeting him during the season? As it's come to pass, the reports have been there that Melbourne have sat down with him, and key figures at Melbourne have met Brodie as a contracted player at your footy club. Does that sit okay with you? Do you worry about that? Does footy have to catch up with the reality of what's going on out there? Do we need to change the conventions around this stuff? Where do you sit with it all?
Yeah, I'm probably more of the view that it's reality. Yeah, it's happening all over the country.
Yeah.
We can't control free agency. Brodie's a bit different. He's a contracted player. Management's talk to people. List manager Graham Wright's talking to his manager.
Yep.
And the details of exactly what it looks like, so that may present an opportunity for a door to be open. So I'm more of the approach, well, just accept it for what it is, but also have that maturity to be able to, as you step back into our walls, hey, you're a Collingwood player.
Of course.
Come on, let's get to work, let's get busy. You make us better. And so I'll probably more lean towards what that is.
Along a similar lines, and I don't know, there might be some of your coaches might be in that same situation, but with some vacancies opening up, if one of your assistants was appointed somewhere else, would you have a problem with them finishing out the season with you guys?
No, not at all. And I was in this position this time last year. I was going through the process at Collingwood, and I went to Clarko and told him, I'm just letting you know, I should respect that I'm deeper into this process. And he started to go, all right, let me help you out.
Okay.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I was worried how he was going to take it. He goes, come on, let me talk. What are you doing? What are you talking through?
Yeah.
And then he sort of winked at me and goes, I'm not going for the job. So thank God for that, because I won't get it if you want it.
Yeah. Did he give you any stuff that you remember being particularly helpful?
Oh, lots.
Yeah.
Lots about the game plan and he was a great sounding board for me. And
I bet.
If you're listening, Clarko, I've texted 2 weeks ago. I haven't replied.
So, I
So,
reckon he's getting a few text messages.
it's hard to get the phone at the moment.
It's radio silence.
Yeah.
Huge day Sunday. Are you tapping much into the history of, you played against one another early in the year in a pulsating game. You might have done it then, but stakes are obviously higher this Sunday. Are you tapping much into the history of the rivalry
We did in round 11.
Yeah.
I showed this highlight package of black and white days through to current of the big hits and the goals. And funny enough, I was only going through my presentation this morning in regards to what I presented last time we played them, and that was there. I watched it again. There's some good stuff in it. The knock on from the boundary line.
Yeah.
I look, it is a great story between us and the history, and I think this is probably another chapter.
How different is it in terms of a setup? These two teams and what they're likely to look like going into this game 12 or 13 weeks later. How different a matchup does it feel like to you?
Yeah, they're clearly better. They did have McGovern, McKay didn't play around those parts, and then obviously
the midfield's
a little bit different. Our story at that stage, we'd just beaten Freo. And come back from Freo with like this buoyancy and excitement.
That's right, yes.
And then, but Carlton were up and going and buzzing it, but then they had a couple of injuries. So it was a moment of like, oh, okay, we're coming a little bit, and they're maybe stabilised. So that game was an exciting one, I recall. But this is high stakes, isn't it? Like, you don't try to get caught up in the outcome of it, but the outcome is you got to embrace it.
Yeah.
You win your top four for us. You win. They're in the final. Well, I told the players yesterday, we're not going to shy away from the occasion. We've done this really well this year, whether it's Anzac Day or Queen's birthday or big occasion, Friday night a couple of weeks ago. Embrace the occasion, but play the game on the grass, not in our heads.
Well, what about the fact that it's, and I know you've played in those big games, so you do have that experience, but they're saying it's sold out. I don't know if that's correct, but they're saying it's sold out. You you're
but
close
that doesn't
to
affect us, Casey.
Pigs are.
Well, come on. Okay, if there's 90,000 there, we're going to play better. But if there's 89,000,
we're not sure.
But what I'm saying is there are some athletes that in those occasions that it shouldn't be. But it does take coaching, it takes education and it takes experience to deal with that, because sometimes the performance and the performance anxiety, because there's 90,000 instead of 50,000, does make a difference to some of them.
Yeah, and that's what I talk about, playing the game on the grass, not in your head. You prepare really well. That's all you can do as an athlete, as you know. Like you get to match day, and all you can do is, look, I've ticked all these boxes and I've done this. I know what I need to do, and then go out and execute.
Yeah,
and you put your energy in the execution.
Yeah,
as opposed to 90,000 people.
Yeah,
and like every game represents something different, but we're lucky at Collingwood. We have played in big games regularly. So the roar and the excitement, the emotion of it is something that we're not foreign to.
What about, and you sort of half answered it, and you probably did answer it, to be honest, but when you know what's on the line, they know what's on the line for them, and you know what's on the line for you. And you know that, and we know that, and I suspect the players are aware of that. Are you a good one at knowing whether individuals are getting bogged down by the weight of that? Are you a good one of reading the body language, even on game day? Yeah. Just unfurrow the brow a bit. It's all right. We're going to be okay no matter what happens today. You know.
Yeah, I think I've got good self-awareness. I see the groups. I like to keep it lighthearted on a match day. I've got a really good funny one for the weekend without giving too much away. Right. But every game, we keep it light. Again, what does your group need? I thought there was some anxiety in the group early days. It was only a practice game. It might have been GWS. I thought, this group feels tense, or might have been a trial game.
Yeah.
So I just take the breath out of it and let them laugh, and just for 2 minutes.
Yep.
And then we get to it. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. And for this group, it's been a formula that's helped them execute. So I'm going to provide a bit of humour.
But you know what?
It's really interesting.
That is interesting, and it is a skill that you've got to do. But do you find yourself sometimes, let's not forget about your emotions, about your expectations, and those. You know what you're trying to do, but sometimes you get there, Andy, having been at it before, you go, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and lighten the moment. You come in there, it's like a lead balloon. It's like, oh, mate, this is not lightening the moment at all.
That happens a lot for me. Just save the funny stuff for the funny guy. But in your own, I've come to 20 games or something, and finding my own preparation and what that looks like for myself. I remember one day I was so relaxed. I thought, this is awesome. I stepped into the change room and I was this tense guy caught up and go, what's happened? I found my own space to be.
You talk about that trial game, the practice game against the Giants and the tension, and here we are now, and you've gone through the 11 in a row, and they've learned a lot about themselves on the way through. Do they now, you've got your joke up your sleeve for the game on Sunday, but have they changed as a group? Have you seen them change as a group given what they've been through together this season?
Yeah, no doubt. No, you see it daily, you see it weekly. Reflect on when we first started and we're trying to have this fundamental base program and having to really get right down and start crawling before we walked in some fundamentals of the game. And through COVID, they just haven't been coached as the under 18 kids coming in and then the group and and you see and you reflect on that and you go, wow, that's come a long way to watch them train today doing the fundamentals. That's a whole different team. So not only just those phases, but then their belief as a group. And we're not in the reflection phase yet, but it's pleasing to see that the growth of the group.
You talk about the kids coming out of COVID and learning and the whole thing. Nick Dacos gets Ryan Clark, who's knocking blokes over left, right, and centre. Now he still stayed in the game, and he was in the, but it was a slightly diminished Nick Dacos we saw last week. Chances are they'll try and do the same thing. I wouldn't have a clue what they're going to do, but I would imagine they'll try and do the same thing. Without giving too much, what did he kind of take out of that on Sunday?
Yeah, look, again, as a coach, we go into the game. We didn't have Geordie last minute, so we try to fill a hole that someone can play Geordie's role. And we did Nick for a little bit of that, and I think again, upon reflection, you go, let's just play the players and the roles they're good at, and then these are lessons we're learning about ourselves. And Nick was maybe a bit of a byproduct of us throwing him around a little bit too much because he's the 90-year-old kid that's been doing star for us, and it was unfair for him. But part and parcel of becoming an elite player is being
getting that, for sure.
So, and he's a hard guy to tag because he's a hard runner. But I think there'll be a lot of lessons that not only did he learn, but we learn about ourselves as well.
Yeah.
I reckon there's a lot to be said also about the Swans too. I wouldn't say they've flown under the radar, but I think that I don't think people have really embraced them like some of the other teams and their potential greatness that they have. What is it about them that sticks out that caught your eye?
Yeah, I thought they defended the ground really, really well. Like just their ability to support each other and everything was pressured. And we control some of that, but their pressure is the best in the competition right now. And then they kept us to 6 or 7 goals. Like we've been able to score regularly, not huge numbers, but it was a real hard day to score, to their credit.
I've got 3 things to ask you. We'll let you go in a moment. 3 things to ask you about the game. And I was going to do it yesterday and we ran out of time. So you're on the end of it now. The 666 warning before a free kick gets paid. Come 2023, is it time just to get to the warning? If there's a 666 breach, blow the whistle, free kick, let's go.
Oh, we're bad at it. So
no greater interest in self-interest.
We've been doing it for a while now, and I think the 666 thing, I think we all kind of, I imagine we like it, But do we need the warning anymore? Or you can take the 5th on any of these if you want to hold fire and think about it, feel free to.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion.
Okay. The ruck nomination.
Yeah.
Having to nominate a ruckman.
Yeah.
Can we get rid of that, do you reckon?
Yes.
What about the centre bounce recall? Does that mean anything to you as a fan of the game? I mean, you're caught up in the other stuff, and I know at the time, but when the bounce goes askew and it gets recalled, there's 2 ways of dealing with it. Either don't worry about recalling it, just let nature take its course.
No, you can't do that.
All right, well, get rid of it just get rid of it and throw it up.
Yeah,
throw it up all the time.
That's 2 different discussions. But the bad bounce can be a huge advantage.
Correct.
It's always been the case, though. We changed it after it happened. It was a shocker that led to a goal, I think, against West Coast 10 years ago. But
it's changed for good then.
That's right. Yeah. So is it something that we should think about or just keep going with it? The bounce and the recall and the sorry boys. And
my view on the bounce is if it actually allowed more umpires to stay in the game, let's throw it up.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, we get better umpires and more umpires. Let's throw it up. If it's such a skill that's hard to teach and coach and whatever, or we've got a bad back, I'm going to be able to. Well, if it comes at the cost of that, I would then throw it up.
Now, just before we let you go, Gene Simmons.
Oh yeah, Kiss.
They arrived. Apparently, Kiss. He's a Carlton supporter, and apparently they're going to be there. If he let it slip at the airport, they might go.
Really?
Huge boost for the Blue Bags.
We're going to play well then, guys.
Massive boost for the Blue Bags to have Gene Simmons in the house. We're going to talk about Kiss a bit later on. Are you a Kiss fan?
No, I was just saying off here, my brother is a massive heavy metal fan, and I'd slept on the bottom bunk, and unfortunately I had all that. I had Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, and posters on the wall. I had to live that in my childhood.
Right.
So I'm not.